Hello and welcome to another video from Truckers World. It's Friday morning and it's -1 in the cab, hence why I'm all wrapped up. But I'm doing well and I hope you guys are doing well as well. So today's video will be the debate about whether it's a necessity moving from Class 2 to a Class 1 licence. When I first went on my course for Class 2, I was on a government course, a couple of drivers with me, and a lot of them, including me at the time, wanted to go straight to Class 1. Why can't we go straight to Class 1? You know, why do we have to do Class 2? Everyone wanted to do the Class 1. One driver even said it's like having half a licence doing a Class 2, which I don't. At the time I was a little bit that way about it, but, you know, I don't quite agree with, if I'm honest. So I'm going to go through a few things here and there through my experience, talking to several drivers on both sides, and just give you a little bit of update, give you a bit of advice really, and points about this argument. So, it appears that a lot of it is about preference when it comes to Class 1. Okay, so Class 1 drivers I've spoken to, you know, they are on a little bit more money per hour and probably more on the salary, which you would expect, being a big wagon and whatnot. And they seem to think that it's quite a better experience driving. So, you know, with a big cab, you know, you get more comfortable accesses to it. So you get heated seats, you might get electric seats, you know, big bed in the back, which you can obviously take your brake on. They generally say it's more comfortable, you know. And I've driven a Class 2, but almost like a Class 1 wagon, and I kind of agree with that. You know, you've got the bed, you've got these lovely seats, nice comfortable seats, nice armrests that come down on both sides, you know, and it does make a difference. It does make for a better experience. So I kind of agree with that. And also, as well, they say, obviously, with the driving, a lot of people do say driving a Class 1 is easier than Class 2. Now, I will agree with that to a certain extent. You know, I do think, you know, there's some benefits of a Class 2. You know, when you're going around an industrial estate, for example, and you've gone too far, you know, you might miss your turning. On that kind of a road, you can quickly turn round a Class 2, even if it's a 3-point turn or 4-point turn, you can quickly do it without too much of an issue. You can also quickly back in to a side road without too much of an issue. But Class 1, you know, I don't have a Class 1 licence, but in certain roads, not all, that might be a little bit tricky, you know, backing back, you know, kind of doing a 3-point turn, you know. I know sometimes that Class 1s can certainly turn better with the articulated lorry on the back. So, you know, I get it from both sides, but certainly from Class 2, from my experience, I've missed a turning or, you know, gone too far, and I think, oh, you know, I'm going to go to quickly turn here or quickly back into there, and it's a lot easier. Even stopping at a butty van as well, just a lot easier that way. So, in that respect, I agree with it, but also there's a lot of benefits from Class 2 that way. With Class 1, obviously, you're doing more distance more often than not. So you are probably going to be doing more hours on average on a Class 1. That's not always true, but from what I've gathered, who I've spoken to, jobs I've looked at, it is generally longer hours. Fine if you're okay with that. With Class 2s, obviously we mentioned the pay before. Most Class 2s hourly rate will be lower than Class 1s, but I've been working on Class 2 for a while and I can make a living. You know, it's fine. It's you know, I always was kind of desperate to get a Class 1, and I'm thinking, well, done all this work. There's plenty of work out there for Class 2, different variations. It's not a necessity for me to go to a Class 1. And I've even thought to myself, thinking, well, do I really want to go through that test again? You know, the test of Class 2 or car, Class 1s, whatever it is, it is a ball ache. It really is, and you don't want to go through it, especially when I was quoted. I've got Class 2, and I was quoted to do a Class 1 licence, all in all, everything included, 1,800. And I've already got Class 2 licence. It's a lot of money to put down, isn't it? So that's also kind of been dwelling on me, where I've kind of thought, well, I'm not in a great rush to do Class 1, to be honest. And for what? You know, if you want to work longer hours, get a slightly better pay, maybe. You know, the experience is another thing, but it's not swaying me that much, if you know what I mean. As far as Class 2 goes, there is distance and also local. I do fairly local with different companies I've worked for in the past. That's quite, it's got its benefits. Once you've done your last job, not too far back to the depot, you're not going to get stuck in traffic most of the time, and away you are home. So that's not too bad. It does make a difference. The hours are generally shorter from what I've worked at, but you still, sometimes you're still doing 10-hour shifts. So, it depends on who you're working for with that. Also, quite a wide range of jobs are in the Class 2 sector. Now I know you've got this, some of the wider range there. You do have high-ups, tippers with Class 1s, you do. But you've also got, bins, working on bin trucks if that's what you want to do. You've got a lot of local deliveries, carpet deliveries, food deliveries. That will never go out. Restaurants, pubs, all going to need food and whatnot. Bins will always need collecting. So there are a lot of, quite local jobs with a Class 2. So I do think that's a benefit as well. And as far as jobs go, looking at Class 2, Class 1 jobs, on the market, how many there is out there is what I mean. I've kind of gathered that they're both about equal. I look on the job centre websites and I look down the list and I'm thinking, yeah, it's about the same. There's the same amount of Class 1 jobs as there are Class 2. And there's been times where there's been more Class 2 than there are Class 1s. So, it's not like you're getting any benefit that way. So, from my conclusion, really, I think people do it more for their preference of driving. A lot of people like to get on the road, less handball. With Class 1, that's definitely true. You won't be doing as much pallet pumping or handballing, as they say. You will be doing more of that on Class 2 as opposed to Class 1. So I think it's more about the experience. And I do understand that, and I totally agree with it. That's, it's there. But I think it's more your preference. You do get that better pay, but it's more of a preference. If you don't want to do as much handballing, you want to do more hours maybe on the road, the Class 1 is definitely a good option. But strictly speaking, it's not a necessity. It's really not. I'll come to my position at the end, but I've enjoyed doing certain Class 2 works. There's a lot of Class 2 works where I don't like, a bit too much handballing, but I do like an easy life. And I'll be honest, from my time since I've passed, all the work I've done, it's been okay. I've been content with it, and that's what I like. So up to now, I don't see it as a necessity. Now, do I intend to get my Class 1? I do intend to get my Class 1. I do like being on the road quite a lot. I like my driving, prefer to be on the road rather than in and out all the time. And I think it's not so much for the pay, but I think it's something maybe I would like to do when I'm a bit older. At the minute, I'm quite young, I'm quite fit, I can stop, I can get out, this kind of stuff. I don't mind doing a bit of handballing every now and again. But when you're older, you might want to do a bit more driving, maybe a couple of days on an agency, for example, and Class 1 will probably provide that. So I do intend to go for my Class 1. I do. But it's not a necessity. And I work and have worked with a lot of older blokes coming near retirement, and they just seem to handle Class 2 like a doddle. They like it, and they're happy with it. I've also spoken to 1 or 2 Class 1s, and of course, they will say this because they're doing Class 2 now. I did work for a bit of a steel delivery company, and he was a Class 1 driver, the other one was a Class 1 driver, and his argument that he didn't want to do the long hours anymore, they're sitting and waiting a long time, and I kind of got that, so he's happy doing his Class 2 work, okay? Incidentally though, I will say, the Class 2 work that we were doing at the time almost was a Class 1 job, if you can understand that. You never touched the load, you were going quite distances, Nottingham, that kind of way, Birmingham sometimes, coming back, not terribly long shifts, 9-10 hours, and he was even doing a little bit of tramping on Class 2, so I think even though he was happy doing Class 2, it was almost like Class 1 work, to be fair. But there you go. So there it is. A couple of tips there for you new drivers. Anyone who's a bit worried and thinking, oh, I need that Class 1, I have to have it. It's not a necessity. If you get Class 2 for now, that's great. You can earn a lot of money, save a bit of money, get your Class 1 eventually. Don't put too much pressure on yourself on getting that Class 1. That's my main point. Okay. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm going to be putting a few more videos on before I take a week off. near Christmas. So yeah, keep safe, keep on trucking. Thanks for watching.